Our life moves in 7-year cycles. Every 7 years, you go through a different stage of spiritual growth and evolution. But there's 3 of these cycles that are considered the most critical. So stay tuned to find out what these 3 critical cycles are, because if you're experiencing one of them right now, you need this information I'm going to share in this video. Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm a spiritual coach and mentor for women and folks who want to live their authentic purpose and develop their spiritual abilities. If this resonates with you, please hit that subscribe button, and I welcome you warmly to this amazing spiritual community. So our life moves in 7-year cycles. Every 7 years, all of the cells in your physical body are replaced, and you also have a different spiritual focus every 7 years. I have another video that I'll link beside me here in the card that actually gives you a description of each of these cycles. So if you haven't watched that one yet, it's one of the most popular videos on this channel. Go ahead and watch that one before this if you want a more detailed description of all of the cycles. Today, since that last video was so popular about the 7-year cycles, I wanted to go a little bit deeper into 3 of the most critical 7-year cycles. So the first really critical cycle, I think you might be able to guess, is the first one, 0 to 7 years old. At that time, we are pure feeling. We haven't really developed the intellect yet. And science bears this out, right? There's studies now on the brain development of children where it shows that they absorb the energy, the feelings, the beliefs, the concepts, the habits of the people around them. They even start to mirror their parents in some way, or there's this cause and effect relationship. They're the reaction of what's happening in their environment and with their parents in particular. Sometimes other people too influence, but it's mostly the parents, the people that are raising them. So why this is a critical cycle is because if you have any blockage areas, fears, resistance, things that are showing up for you as stuck places in your life, it almost always can be traced back to the first 7 years. And you know, that's tough sometimes because we don't consciously remember everything that happened because our brains weren't developed. But energetically, it has been imprinted upon you. And this is also the time when your personality is being formed. You're becoming that person that you are, right? Even though I've lived in the United States for nearly 20 years, I still, for the most part, have a New Zealand accent because I grew up in New Zealand and I have been imprinted with that culture. So it doesn't matter how old I get, right? I'm still kind of the product of that upbringing. Now, living in another country certainly does influence me. But who I am at the core is based on that upbringing from my parents and the place that I lived. So this is the same for you. Now, if you want to change something within yourself, you can do it. But it's really important to know that it's going to take some effort because this has become the core of who you are. And the blocks that you picked up from other people can seem like they're actually yours. What you need to do is start to learn to detach yourself on a soul level from the patterns of others and distinguish what is your core authentic spiritual self, your personality that you came in with this lifetime, and then what has actually been put upon you. And we say the first 7 years, but it's even in particular the first 3 years. Okay, so I could talk about that stuff all day long, but that's the first critical cycle. The second critical cycle is the age from 21 to 28 years old. So think back, or, you know, some of you that are younger may be experiencing this right now, but think about that time in your life. What was that like for you? How did you feel at the time? I remember when I was 21 years old, I was just graduating from a university degree. And the way that I thought my life was going to play out, suddenly I put the brakes on it. At the time, I thought I was going to go on and become a clinical psychologist. And I soon realized that I didn't really like the field. I didn't enjoy what I was learning in my bachelor's degree. And so I wasn't willing to put the time and money into another 4 or 5 years of schooling in order to become a clinical psychologist. So I felt like the rug was being pulled out from under me. The plan that I had, suddenly I decided against it. I realized it wasn't a good fit for me. Yet what do I do now? And so the 21 to 28 cycle is really a time of finding your footing. Where do you fit in the world? What is your place in it? Where do you want to live? What kind of people do you want to surround yourself with? What kind of job do you want to have, or career or business? Do you want to be married? Do you want to have children? All of those kind of decisions are finding your footing in the kind of life that you want to create for yourself. Now, why it's called a really critical cycle is because if a person has a lot of severe blocks from the first 7 years, maybe the result of an abusive childhood, maybe alcoholic parents, etc., etc., and even not so severe too, it can happen to a lesser degree, where the blocks that might have been kind of suppressed prior to the age of 21 start bubbling up to the surface. And I remember for me, a lot of my blocks were about connecting with people and feeling shy. And so I'd always had a little bit of that. It got worse as I was a teenager. When I got into my early 20s, it really flared up. It was really challenging for me. It affected my life in major ways. Now in my 40s, I've finally been able to do the work to understand where that came from and be able to heal it. But at the time, I wasn't aware of that. I just thought there was something wrong with me. You know, why am I so shy? Why do I not know how to connect and communicate with people? And so it was really challenging. Now, in the scheme of things, that's not a huge, abusive experience. It was something that certainly affected me. But some people really have a hard time around the age of 21 in particular. You'll see a spike in suicide, crime, substance abuse, etc. around this time. And the real spiritual reason for it is because all of that stuff kind of bubbling up to the surface and a person doesn't know how to handle it. They don't have the self-awareness and the tools to work with it in a constructive way. So it's just good to be aware that this is the time when the rubber hits the road kind of thing. You're a grown-up now, and if you are watching this video and you're in that age right now, what I encourage you to do is really just have a spiritual practice. Watch some of the other videos on this channel or sign up for my Communicate with Angels course and start to be able to connect with spirit and connect with yourself and your true feelings, right? Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's challenges are different. But what we all have in common is that we are energy. And by connecting with your true self, that's the key, because you need to start to learn what's me and what's not me, what's come from everybody else outside of me, and what's the true me on a soul authentic level. Okay, so the third critical cycle is actually from age 49 to 56. So this is called the cycle of inventory. It's a time of life where a person is really doing a lot of evaluating and taking stock of what they have experienced in their life up to that point. And is this working for me? Do I need to make any changes? And again, there's a feeling of a lot of searching, a lot of wondering, and need for growth and awareness. So you might see some people have some dramatic changes in their life at this point, go through a divorce, etc., because they're really searching for more meaning, more depth, more purpose. And it's a really important time to make those changes that you need to. If you are in this cycle right now and you're noticing that you resonate with this, like there's things in my life that aren't working for me, please don't procrastinate on it. Really pay attention to the things that you need to adjust or change in your life. Because the next cycle after that is 56 to 63, and that's called the cycle of decision. And this is where a person really decides, am I living my path, my purpose, or is it time for me to check out from this lifetime? So that a person will check out or pass on when they really have gotten off track from their direction for this lifetime. They've gotten sidetracked. So 49 to 56 is the time to make those adjustments and really take it seriously. Don't put it off and think, oh, I'm fine, everything's okay. No, it's not. If you're not feeling happy, start to evaluate what it is you need to change in order to feel happy. And it's not like you have to do it all tomorrow, but start to pay attention to it and bring it to the forefront and just keep asking yourself and your angels for help. What is it that I need to adjust and change in order to be really on my path for my purpose? This is actually one of the things I help people with. I have a program called Authentic and Aligned. And I help you to uncover your true authentic self, because most people don't know it. They've gotten lost in the ways that they've been taught to be by everybody else and by society. And you have an authentic personality that's on a soul level, not what your parents taught you. And so when you start to identify with that, then you can really align with the things out there in your more material, physical life that are a good match for your spiritual, authentic purpose. So if you're interested in that, I've linked it below. Check out the information about that program and certainly email me if you have questions. Okay, so I encourage you to watch, again, the first video that I made about the 7-year cycles of life. It goes into detail about all of the cycles, so if I didn't mention your one today, I'm sure you're curious about what is happening at your stage of life. So go ahead and watch that video right here next, and I'll see you on over there.